Do we have too much government?
We need to put people ahead of corporate profits.
This system is so lopsided. This threat is a real threat to democracy.
And I think that's really important. That's something we haven't been doing in this country for a long time.
Where do you start? What do you do? How do you do it?
Access to Democracy and other Eagan community television programming is supported by Thomson Reuters, makers of Westlaw Next and based in Eagan. Through Westlaw Next and other innovative online services, Thomson Reuters is the world's leading source of intelligent information for businesses and professionals. Online at thomsonreuters.com. And by U.S. Federal Credit Union, the member-owned financial institution offering service, value, and experience you can trust to the greater Twin Cities community.
We're back with Access to Democracy. Alan Miller, your host, and a return guest, and a favorite individual and restaurateur, Doron Jensen of Jensen's Restaurants. Also, as a matter of fact, the proprietor not only of the restaurants, but sponsor of bowling teams and other things, and we might even be able to get a close-up. That happens to be my jersey from bowling. However, I am not good enough to make the Jensen's bowling team, so they gave me that just to shut me up and make me go away. Doron, welcome back.
Thank you very much, Alan. Good to be here.
35 years in the restaurant business. Product of Dubuque schools.
Yeah.
And you started out, I think, in Jensen's Cafe in Fremont, Nebraska. Was your grandfather's place?
Yep, Al Jensen.
And that's where you really cut your teeth in terms of getting interested in the business.
Yeah, I probably originally cut my teeth there, and that's where I had my dream of owning a restaurant or being in the restaurant business originally came from dining at the Jensen's Cafe in Fremont, Nebraska on Friday nights for a number of years, and I looked at my grandfather and said, well, I'd sure like to do that someday. And of course my goal is to take over his cafe in Fremont.
But your plans went awry, shall we say, when he died, and they decided, I guess the family or whomever, that you were too young at that point to take over the restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, I was 20, so I wasn't very old. 21 when he died. I was a general manager of a restaurant. I had opened it. It was a Sirloin Stockade in Muscatine, Iowa. Been in management a couple of years, so I'd kind of gotten in early at a young age to the business, so I certainly thought I could do it. But my grandfather's wife and my dad's two sisters thought maybe not. And
in retrospect,
and they say it themselves. He says, aren't you glad that we kept you from getting stuck in Fremont, Nebraska your whole life?
Now, how did you move on from Nebraska to Eagan? I know that there was a Timber Lodge steakhouse along the way, and a home-style family buffet, and an old country buffet. So give us the genesis of all that.
Yeah, it was kind of in reverse order to there. I worked for my grandfather over the summers, and I lived in Dubuque, and I worked for Sirloin Stockade, later for Ponderosa. That was probably about 6 years of time, 7 years. I moved up to Minneapolis in 1984, and then I got the job with Old Country Buffet for their first restaurant. And soon I was on the road opening them for the group, the owners that started that. So I was traveling and doing that, and then I had the opportunity through a contractor who wanted to get into the business, the buffet business, because it was hot. I mean, it was very busy. They're still busy today. But that was an opportunity then, after about 3 years with Old Country Buffet and opening their restaurants, to go down to Florida. I'd never been there. That was pretty cool. And start a buffet restaurant, and then with the idea of expanding just like Old Country Buffet did. And we did do that. And that was Homestyle Buffet. So that was 1986 that we opened, that December of 86. So we opened about 40 restaurants in 4 years. So I traveled, saw the East Coast because we opened restaurants from Florida to New York. And that was fun. Was on an airplane a lot, and it was great in the winter when I'd take off out of Philadelphia and arrive in Tampa, Florida about 9 o'clock at night. Like I said, especially in the winter, that was great. So it was a good time there. But you know, I really wanted to have my own restaurant, and so I kind of got into it. I kind of got into this larger ownership, you know, in a minority. I mean, I didn't own a lot of the company, but I was a major shareholder. But I really wanted to own my own and have more direction. And the bigger these things get, the less you're really a part of it.
So how did you end up in Eagan?
Well,
And
I moved.
Burnsville, I should say.
You know, after being in Florida for 4 years, I had my 2 sons were born down there. I'm a Midwesterner, and I just couldn't see raising my boys in Florida and or living there long term. Maybe in my retirement. But so we moved back to Minnesota, and I had this idea of getting into the steakhouse business after many years. Before I was in the steakhouse business, and we opened up Minnesota Steakhouse in Burnsville, 1991. And so that's close to Eagan. So, but that's where I landed back here, and we did that. Opened up a number of those for 4 or 5 years, and again we went public, just like we did at the Homestyle Buffet, and it just got to be no fun. You know, it's just you're running a business. You're really not running a restaurant. But when you get to that point, so I really still wanted to have my Jensen's Cafe. You know, just my individual restaurant. So. In 1990, I finished in 1995 with the steakhouse chain, and I found the closed Perkins in Eagan early in 96, and we bought it, my father, my brother, and I, and we opened that August 1996.
The Supper Club.
The Jensen
At a
Supper
time
Club.
when people really were not opening supper clubs
No.
as such.
No.
And obviously it has become a staple of Eagan, and a place that even through the recession, you really had to fight your way to get in on some evenings. And as somebody who normally, after we do our shoots on Fridays, ends up at Jensen's Supper Club on Friday nights. Well, this week it's going to have to be Saturday night with the Rakers, I think, but we have become regulars there. It's funny because Bill Raker said recently, you know, they're doing an addition at Jensen's, and they're probably going to call that the Alan Miller Room. But I said, I don't think so, but it is a place that we frequent where I can say it's the second restaurant I went to when I came out here in '96, and I've never gotten a bad meal in what's going on 17 years there, which is a testament to you.
Well, thanks.
And and then came the cafe. You finally did get your Jensen's Cafe.
Yep. In 2005, my fellow I worked with for many years, Brian Hare, approached me and wanted to take me over to the new building over there in the heart of the city, Nicollet and Burnsville Parkway. It was a brand new office building, first floor, windows, you know, on 2 sides, on a busy street, kind of a nice location for a restaurant. Thought, you know, we should do this breakfast and lunch style restaurant, and he kind of talked me into it. So it kind of worked backwards a little bit, and as we were talking about it, and I was deciding, because I had my one restaurant, and maybe that's all I was going to do. Jensen's Cafe didn't turn out. It was Jensen's Supper Club. That's what my dream, that was really, to me, dream fulfilled. But I got thinking about it, and I said, I didn't get that cafe open. So I told Brian, I said, well, Brian, I'll do it, but it's going to be Jensen's Cafe if I do it. He goes, I don't care, that's fine. We'll make it Jensen's Cafe. So.
And it has become a very popular
Oh my
spot
gosh, it's just been really
in Burnsville.
great
In fact,
deal.
it's not just breakfast and lunch any longer.
Yeah. We and after about 2 or 3 years, we added dinner, and so it's our slowest meal, but a great time to go and take the family to eat. That's when I go there and eat quite frequently, actually. Just it's the meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and more home cooking. Family meals.
A cafe style as
Cafe
opposed
style,
to the
yeah.
supper club.
Much more high-end
Which is,
steaks, lobsters, martinis, that sort of thing.
Now, you were in the news recently with an announcement that you're going to spend $900,000 on improving or maybe adding to the supper club. Obviously, you're located right in the Cedar Grove area. A huge shopping center is going to go in there, a discount-type shopping center, or outlet mall, I guess is what they call it, with stores like Saks Fifth Avenue and really stores of that caliber. It's going to change the whole complexion of that area. There's going to be apparently a hotel going in there. There's a senior citizens home right there, and you made your announcement. So tell us a little bit about that and what we have in store.
Yes, of course, we've waited patiently for many years. This has been in the works for a dozen years. And the city did move forward and bought some 26, 28 businesses. Fought. Some of them fought and dragged to demolition, but it got done.
Many court battles.
There was some court battles, yeah, and the state laws have changed regarding those. I don't know what the name of what they call that take. When the city.
Oh, you
can
mean
come
the
in.
taking of property?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they were grandfathered. Condemnation. But unfortunately for the city, for us, the recession, the timing of they got all the businesses bought out, the land cleared, and we had a recession.
And then the recession hit.
So here we sat with not only a recession and not a great market for diners, but we had no more neighbors. I mean, no matter what, that was 28 businesses that brought people, and
all of a sudden Jensen's is there next to
We're alone.
Cedarvale Bowl,
Yes.
which has its own restaurant, and you were alone.
Yeah.
And one of the things I want to talk about with the recession is the fact that, number one, the loyalty of your employees. You have employees who have been with you for years and years. And number two, you managed to make it through the recession, retaining those people and hanging on until business has really picked up in the last few years. Talk about that.
Well,
The loyalty you've engendered from your
yeah, I
employees.
mean, I'm sure glad that we were able to retain people, mainly because the reason that you would not have retained them is probably that you would have let them go. And our business was strong enough that we were able to hold on to our people because we could financially afford it. But our business was strong enough to. But as far as the long-term employees, I mean, that is the number one priority of the restaurant, of me. I mean, it starts and ends with me, say, as the owner, as far as decisions get made. But, that's our priority, first and foremost, is employees. Because you can't cook the food and you can't serve people without really good employees. And
Well, the employees are the face of the restaurant.
Right, they're the face of the
No matter what the
restaurant.
food
Absolutely.
is, the
Yeah.
employee is the face of the restaurant.
And I never set out to be, I mean, I named the restaurant with my name, but I never wanted to be the face, that I am what it is. I wanted a restaurant.
Well, looking at you, I understand that.
Yeah, thank you very much. But because in reality, it is 40, 45 people that we have. But, we look to, a lot of it starts at the beginning. I only hire people who truly are passionate and want to do the job that we have, that there's agreement with that. You are looking for a job that's nights, 4 nights, it's weekends, most of those 4 days, and this is what you want to do, that's what I want to hear. And we have agreement, so that's where it starts, that this is what they want to do. You never convince people to, hey, you're going to have to work weekends, and you're going to have to learn to like that. Never do that. I mean, the person needs to come with they're committed to that. They know that that's what the restaurant business is. This is where we make our money. We work when people are off, and we like that, and this is our lifestyle.
But part of it is treating these people well.
Yeah,
because those
too.
people have stayed with you, and those people are known by your regular customers, and they know your regular customers. It's like walking into a family type arrangement. Like, hi, how are you, and things like that. And as one who frequents there.
Right.
All the time.
That is the secret.
That's certainly...
That's part of it. In chain restaurants, when management's changing all the time, it tends to create turnover with hourly employees as well. And every chain restaurant in the restaurant business is always you're always wanting to know your customers and greet them and know what they like and that sort of thing, because that's important. But what never gets followed through on is if you don't have the same employees for years and years, you just don't achieve that.
Also,
but that's how we've achieved it.
Also, continuity in the kitchen. I mean, there are certain things. Jensen's has popovers. Very few people offer you popovers. Jensen's has their own Jensen's salad with its own recipe for its dressing, although you can get it online, I'm told. But, people come to expect that. They have fair prices on liquor and a large selection of wine, and that's what entices them in. And then you have your specials, but you also have your regular staple courses. And obviously, it has worked, and it has worked for you, and the place is one of the most popular spots in the area.
Well, thanks.
So,
you want to get back to the $900,000?
the $900,000?
Yeah, and how we're going to spend it.
Yeah, how are you going to spend it?
Well, we, with the mall coming in, is offered an opportunity. The bank building that sat next to us for many years, I always wanted, in some way, shape, or form, if it was possible, to get that property, because I wanted to have parking on that land, because then all the parking that we had would be to the front door. All of our parking right now really is away from our front door. It just was the nature of that building when we got it from Perkins. And so that was always a dream of mine, to get that property, to build that out as parking. So,
Of course, it would have been a great spot for a credit union, but now...
Possibly, right. And it was. It spent its time as a credit union. That time has come and gone. But now, with the mall coming, it offered the opportunity that the city had purchased that land, and there was a building there, and that offers a problem to a certain degree. Just maybe they want to have a different use for it, but they really thought maybe they would redevelop it. But when the mall came in, they said, "Hey, we'll tear the building down, and we will consider negotiating with you for a price." We made that negotiation. That's been done, and now we're working on the final closing on that. But that's about where half of this investment's going to go, of this $900,000.
Now, they also took a little bit of your parking lot for a trail as part of the plan for this whole new area that's opening up.
Yes, it did. It worked well, actually. But there's going to be a walking trail all the way through the middle of Cedar, the whole Cedar Grove or Cedar Vale area, right down the middle, all the way through, and then that trail will come right through behind us, and you're right, they'll take about 15 stalls of parking and turn it into trail. So it'll be a nice beautification piece, but also you're going to be able to walk all over in this area as well. The Paragon Outlet Mall people are building a park. What would that be? South and west of the kind of the development. And I'm sure that trail will find its way to that park, so that it's going to be a nice amenity.
And of course, accessibility is terrific because you're right off of really 13 and 77 where it cuts down, and it makes you really very accessible, easy to get to, and
I think so. I know that I didn't always feel that way. I remember the first time that a real estate broker had mentioned that location of the Perkins, and I had just said, I'm not interested in that location. I mean, nobody goes there, But how I really, from the beginning in '96, when I bought in, and we, we really remodeled that Perkins. We doubled its size, and it's hard to tell that obviously there was ever a Perkins. But I really believe that the city and that area was going to happen in time. The Mall of America is just 5 miles to the north. It really could be something, and that was my hope. So, advanced 17
your
years
vision
later,
became a reality.
It did.
So
It really
slow
did.
and through some
Very
really
slow,
tough times.
There's patience, and when I was younger, I mean, I went through my restaurant history. I mean, I never worked. I didn't stay anywhere more than 5 years. I mean, I was not satisfied, and I was young, and I was working, and I had accomplished something, and I wanted to move on. And what I lacked was probably patience. And by now, I got I did get to my dream of just doing my own restaurant. But the really important piece was patience. That just be patient, and
But you still always want to do more, and you're doing more
yeah.
now.
But
you're an 8 handicap golfer,
yeah, that's true.
and you want to get better. You're a 190 average bowler, and you want to get better. I just want to get to be a 190 average bowler, but certainly all those things. You've also been very active in professional associations. I know you're active in the Visitors Bureau in Burnsville in terms of helping Burnsville grow. You also were president of the Minnesota Restaurateurs Association, or Restaurant Association. So you've had your hand in that. You've actually lobbied the legislature on occasion where we had a bill coming up in the legislature about increasing minimum wage, and you were very active and outspoken in that in terms of how it would affect your employees. So if you want to talk about that for a moment.
Yeah, I'm real careful in politics. I like to be supportive of the organizations, who can maybe do the bidding. I've just at times when we try to be supportive maybe of causes politically, we serve both parties. I mean, I am a restaurateur. I serve Democrats, I serve Republicans, and I have no bones about either one as a customer.
And you've got to.
Yeah, when I have to. I mean, that's what it is. So it's very difficult to be political, I think. And I don't want to be political. Now, obviously, pro-business agendas are important to me. What you're speaking about, the minimum wage, really is They wanted to raise the minimum wage, and really, the Restaurant Association had no. We did not fight a minimum wage increase at all. That was fine. What our association is trying to get back from what we used to have up till about 1983, I think, 82, and it's what 43 out of 50 states have, and that's essentially you have a wage for tipped employees, because they do make more money in other, in tipped income, and it's really income. I am responsible to the IRS to get that on their paychecks, and it's very sizable for our servers especially.
And of course, in
both
this day and
restaurants.
age, when everybody uses credit cards,
It's
really
very
easy
trackable.
to keep track
That's
of.
right, and it's very, very. Restaurants can go out of business because the IRS comes in, and an owner did not do their job, and make sure that this income is being accounted for. It's all about. Taxes. It's what makes things go. But
So what the Restaurant Association
wanted,
was saying is we want
wanted
a fair
to have
shake
that level
here.
back.
Right.
Yeah, we wanted to let's keep the minimum wage, 7.25 is the federal minimum wage. Keep it there, and if you want to take it up to 10, 9.25, 9.75, we pay anybody who comes to work who doesn't earn tips. We don't start anybody under $9, $10 an hour. Both restaurants. People, we don't get the people we want to attract for less. So the people who we do pay minimum wage all make other income, and they make at least $15 to $20, $25 an hour with that other income.
And they do very well.
They do very well.
Just having spoken to some of them
Right, but
over the years.
it's on the Democrat side, and unions, the unions just do not want to, and that's who we have to that's who the association has to negotiate with, just because it has so much to do with the Democrats' stance on this, and there's no budging, to realize that this is kind of a separate issue. It's within an issue, say. It's not about $10 an hour. You want to make the minimum wage $10 an hour? Wouldn't affect me at all.
And the
I'd do
control
it tomorrow.
room is telling me that $10 an hour is where we're going to stay, because we've just run through our
We did.
allotted time.
So,
and
yeah.
really, it's a pleasure to have you here. And 6:30 tomorrow night, reservations for 4.
Okay.
I'll
I'll text that in.
Doron Jensen, who has really spent 35 years really acquiring a talent that shows itself in Jensen's Supper Club, in the Jensen's restaurant, and in his passion for providing people with a good meal in a very ambient surrounding, and good luck for the next 17 years as you expand. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.